Hello, so here's one of my 12 days of Thriftmas, and if you've only just gotten onto this, the 12 days of Thriftmas are all about making, primarily, being kind to the earth, and also being kind to yourself or the people around you. In other words, all the things that Christmas should be about. How important are things to us and why? Like in my house, I'm surrounded by things that are either hand-me-downs or they've been in the family for years and they've got some emotional value. Yes, there are gifts, of course there are, but those things that have some sort of a story, they seem to have more emotional value for me. So why don't we invest more time and effort in those things? Maybe it's like your dad's jumper and it's a bit holy and, you know, you can't bear to be parted from it. Or a dress that your mum had in the 70s and you're like, how can I find a new life for this? Or a piece of crockery that your nan had and it's a bit chipped and you're like, oh, how do I make this new again without looking like I'm hoarding for hoarding's sake? So I'm taking that concept and in a minute, I'm going to hone in on a Japanese technique called Kintsugi. But first, let's do something really simple. Let's upcycle an old watch. We've all got those watches hanging around at the back of drawers waiting to be fixed, and actually, being completely honest, I found this one at a charity shop with a broken strap. The great thing is, for me, it's the perfect refashioning opportunity if it has a watch face that has these things here, these pins, because it means that even if the strap is broken, it's really easy to insert a scarf. It could be your mum's old scarf or your nan's neck scarf, her favourite neck scarf, or your granddad's handkerchief. Whatever it is, it means that threading it through underneath those pins, it's such a simple way to make it personal to you, and I think it's a lovely upcycling project. Now, that was very straightforward. So I think we should try something a bit more complicated. How about a bit of Kintsugi? So Kintsugi is Japanese and it means literally to join with gold. It's highlighting the brokenness, the asymmetrical, the imperfect that we all have in life. It's about paying more attention to it and not trying to hide it, and that's why you see crockery with like a fine line of gold running through it. Now, traditionally, this is an art or it's a craft that takes days to do, but I found a kit online. It wasn't that expensive, and I'm going to do it live with you. I'm going to show you how it works, and if you do have something that means something to you, how you can highlight that crack and bring it back to life and make it the centre of attention. So, should we start? Okay, I've got a bowl, and it has quite a clean break, and to be perfectly frank with you, this is the easiest type. If it's splintered so much that, you know, you've got tiny little cracks, that's going to be hard to do. So the cleaner the break, the easier this will be. And then we have two types of glue, the gold powder and a spatula. It does come with another spatula, but I'm using a stirrer, drink stirrer. Also, with the first glue, glue A, and it's like an epoxy resin, I found that when I opened this, it wouldn't open the way it was supposed to open at the end. You know, normally you screw on the top and it wouldn't for some reason. It was completely dried at this end, I think, behind that opening. So what I did was I opened it from the other end and unravelled it. Now you can see I've already used it and that's why it's dried slightly. So I'm just going to open that up, and all of this is a fairly quick process, because otherwise, if you don't move quickly, it will dry before you have a chance to apply it to your porcelain. So I'm going to open this so that it's coming out of the tube. And you want like a pea-sized amount. And you've put A onto your piece of cardboard ready for mixing. You add some of the gold powder, but only a small amount because it's a really strong pigment. Start mixing it in straight away. And then add in the same amount of the second glue, so a pea-sized amount. Mix that together. You then get your piece of porcelain, and down the edge, you're creating a thin layer. Now don't overthink this, you just want to work again quite quickly, but it's not a difficult process. Go all the way down that crack. Don't worry if it seems like you've done too much, because it will naturally it will squeeze out, but actually that's sort of the way it's meant to look, which you'll see when this dries anyway. And then when you've done the entire side of that edge, you get the other side of your pottery, whatever it is, it might be a cup, place it on it, and very gently ease it into place. And you'll see that naturally what happens is that gold powder seeps out and is more apparent. Now don't create too much pressure, because what happens is if you push too hard, it will jar it and it'll flip out. So work relatively gently with this, but apply enough pressure so that it fits and it doesn't move. And after about 30 to 60 seconds, not long at all, it will just hold itself in place. Now, it's not completely dry for a bit longer than that, so don't muck about with it. But of course, the way to make this a really simple process is to make sure that it fits before you apply the glue. Just practice it, you know? Practice putting them together, and then you're ready to go. And there you have it, Kintsugi.